It's playoff time on NFL Primetime. Script number 1, Buddy Ryan and his Eagles against Mike Ditka and his Bears. The principals, Randall Cunningham, the game's most exciting player, against Mike Singletary and the Bears defense. Script number 2, Chuck Knox's Seahawks against Sam Weiss's Bengals in the jungle. The principals, Boomer Esiason, the NFL's top-rated QB, against David Craig, the NFL's number 2 QB. Sounds foggy? No problem. We'll clear it all up next on NFL Primetime. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and welcome to NFL Primetime. The three of us who have sometimes been accused of being in a fog. Joining me, as always, Tom Jackson and Pete Axthelm, and it's funny that we mention fog. There was no fog in Cincinnati, where the Bengals have just completed their playoff win, 21-13 over the Seattle Seahawks, and so that means the Cincinnati Bengals will be moving on to the AFC Championship game, which they will host the early game next week. Winner of the Buffalo-Houston game will go to Cincinnati next week. Earlier today, you talk about from the ridiculous to the sublime, Soldier Field in Chicago for the Eagles against the Chicago Bears. Forget the fact that the Eagles hadn't been in the playoffs since '81. Forget the fact that the Bears hadn't won a playoff game since they won the Super Bowl in '80. Forget the fact that I'm forgetting so many things, I forget their names, that Ditka and Ryan were going head-to-head. This is a game that will go down in history as the Fog Bowl. They'll never forget this one at Soldier Field. Oh, it started out beautifully in Chicago. Nice sunny day. Then the second quarter, the fog rolled in off Lake Michigan. And then in the third and fourth quarter, nobody had any idea of where they were. Plays allegedly looked like this. Here's Thomas Sanders. I mean, he could go all the way, but where is he going? And then here he goes. He's off. And where is the play going? This is what most of the people saw. But let's go back to the beginning. Taunting. Todd Bell taunting his old mates. Mike Ditka against his old defensive coordinator, Buddy Ryan. And didn't they have the war of words during the day and during the week? The Bears had early trouble hanging on to the ball. Wendell Davis drops the pass for Mike Tomczak. Then Ron Morris can't hold on. Mike Ditka can't hold on. He's not pleased. But Dennis McKinnon, one of the Bears veterans, wearing a Super Bowl ring, he could hold on 64 yards worth when Waters missed the coverage.
A missed coverage, the safety laid it too far inside to double up the inside guy, let McKinnon get free deep.
7-0 Chicago in the first quarter. Buddy Ryan not pleased. Tomczak picked off by Seth Joyner of the Eagles, and turnovers. 3 times the Eagles would pick off Tomczak passes. Eagles driving. Watch Cunningham to Chris Carter for a touchdown, but you saw the flag. Illegal motion, says Jim Toney on Anthony Toney. Buddy not pleased. So the next play, Cunningham goes to the end zone. But first it'll hit the Bears, Dave Duerson. Then Mike Richardson. Then Carter the tip to Mike Quick for a touchdown. But a flag is also dropped. So 2 plays, 2 would-be touchdowns, 2 flags holding Anthony Toney. Buddy not pleased. Field goal, Zendejas makes it 7-3. In the second quarter, the Eagles on the move again, but they back to 3rd and 32. They get almost all of it. Cunningham to Ron Johnson for 31 yards. So the Eagles gamble on 4th and 1. Cunningham on the keeper. Who knows where the spot was, but when it came down to measuring it, it took about 2 minutes to figure out, did he make, well, I don't, did he, well, let's take it up. He didn't make it. Buddy not pleased. But 2 plays later, Buddy might be pleased. Cap Bozo, fumble! Wes Hopkins picks up the ball at the 15-yard line. The Eagles then on 3rd and 8. Keith Jackson, who was had a marvelous rookie year, the pass to him for the touchdown, but Nelly, the rookie from Oklahoma, he just can't handle it. Buddy not pleased because they only got a Zendejas field goal, make it 7-6. Watch this kickoff or whatever it is. Glenn Kozlowski gets it, and he's going to return it all the way to the Eagle 45-yard line. So a strange kickoff, and the Bears are in business, leading by only 1. On this drive, no miscues. Tomczak has them moving. Tomczak to Ron Morris. He'll carry it all the way down to the Eagle 4-yard line as Zell Jenkins missing coverage. On the very next play, they go to the ground. Neil Anderson, big gaping hole by the time the Eagles close it. Too late. 4-yard touchdown, 14-6 Chicago in the second quarter. Buddy not pleased. As the fog rolls in, the Eagles went to work. Keith Jackson couldn't catch the wide open one, but he could catch it through the mist. Randall for 65 yards to keep Jackson. He's down to the 5-yard line, and the Eagles in business. And 2 plays later, the guy who got called for 2 penalties, Anthony Toney, makes the catches. He's knocked it about to the 1-yard line, but it didn't matter because guess what? Pass interference. Kenny Jackson, buddy, not pleased. He ends up with a field goal. Then another turnover, though. Todd Bell, sweet revenge for him, picks off his old teammate Mike Tomczak. Eagles with the football. Less than a minute to go in the first half. Bell, after some taunts, tries to watch Randall Cunningham get the Eagles ahead, but Mickey Pruitt with the interception. It's 17-9 at the half, Chicago. In the second half, the Eagles in possession at the Bear 12-yard line, picked off by Vesty Jackson, and he could go, well, where's he? I don't know where he's going, into the fog and mist. He looks like the galloping ghost. He played there once. That was Red Grange. At any rate, it was a 50. That's what the press saw. But then again, some coaches claim that's what we always see. Scary moment for the Bears. Tomczak, rushed by Reggie White. He's going to leave the game with a bruised left shoulder, same one he separated a month ago. And so the storybook finish, Jim McMahon off the bench. McMahon immediately goes to work. Trust us, this is a complete pass. This is what it was like in the third. Yeah, what is going on? The toughest job of the day. This is what you saw when you tried to return a kick. Take a look. What, are you kidding? You needed radar to pick up the ball. Dennis Gentry did catch that Zendejas kick. The Eagles moved the ball all day, but when it came time to score at the end, Maurice Douglas picks off Cunningham, and so a 407-yard passing day goes for naught as the Bears, the fog, and playoff inexperience doing the Eagles. The final score, Chicago 20, Philadelphia 12. And despite the fact that we say Cunningham 27 of 54 for 407, Byers caught 9 balls, Keith Jackson 7 balls. They had the stats, but in the end, it was playoff inexperience that did the Eagles in.
I think if you're looking for an excuse, you could use lack of playoff experience. We only got 1 or 2 guys on our team that have been to playoff, but I don't think that had anything to do with the outcome of the game. I think us just not capitalizing on our opportunities is what killed. I think we hurt ourselves as much as the Bears did.
If you look at the whole deal, every time we got down there was either a tipped interception, penalties killing us. If you look overall, we beat ourselves. I'm going to say that first because I don't want to say it was the referees. I don't want to say that they were the better team today. They're a good football team, but I think the Philadelphia Eagles beat themselves today.
If they would have suspended the game, we would have played it again. That's all there is to it. You already, you abide by the rules, Mark. I don't know. I guess that is the. I guess that's the emergency thing they have. So if they would have decided to do that, fine. As it ended, the game's over. We won it. Now we're going to proceed on and play either the Vikings or the 49ers, whoever wins that football game.
It's just a shame to be deprived of an opportunity to play a football game. We're a big play team. We go for the long pass. You couldn't see anyone out there. I don't think the officials could see whether there were 14 guys on the field or 11 guys on the field. And I think I'm just afraid that the decision wasn't based on the conditions out there, but was based on other circumstances like, hey, when can the game be played? When could the networks accommodate it? Tomorrow there's 2 games on. Monday there's all the bowl games are on. And I just think it's really unfortunate that no one had the guts to really do what should have been done as far as this game is concerned.
I'd say they hardly ever suspend a football game. The referees claim that you could see both goalposts from the middle of the field, and so the decision was made from up top and down below to keep on playing. A Grey Cup game in '62 was suspended once and played a couple days later. But the one thing for Chicago guys, they finally got off the shine. They hadn't won since they won the Super Bowl in '85, a playoff game, and that all of a sudden was a long drought. So they are moving on. The Eagles had a lot of yardage, Tommy, but not the W.
Well, they had passing yardage. One of the weaknesses that's been apparent for the Eagles all year is a lack of a consistent running game, putting a lot of pressure on Randall Cunningham to not only throw but run. Today, especially after the fog run rolled in, they had absolutely no running game. They had to throw through that fog. Conversely, on the other side of the ball, the Chicago Bears put up 164 yards, averaging over 5 yards or almost 5 yards a carry. Good defense and a running game will usually get you a victory in the playoffs.
I thought one interesting factor was the Bear cornerbacks. Both Jackson and Richardson had I thought, very effective games. And ironic because when Buddy Ryan was there, he always criticized the cornerbacks. Of course, Vesty Jackson wasn't there at the time, wasn't starting at the time. But the system has changed, and the cornerbacks are given a little more help, and they're playing a lot better. Speaking of being able to see the goalposts, could Anthony Toney see them?
He saw a lot of yellow flags today, and he's a good player. And unfortunately, they're going to be pointing at him
Who says
as.
he's a good player? I don't say he's a good player.
I just said he's a good player. He watches this show, Axe. I'm going to have to see him once. But it's the Bears that are moving on 20-12, and in title games between Chicago and Philadelphia, an eerie semblance to 40 years ago. Do you guys? Of course, you remember it. 1948, Chicago Cardinals against the Philadelphia Eagles at Franklin Field. You couldn't see because of all the snow. Get rid of this stuff. They put it in buckets. They tried to take a tarp on and off the field. By the time they finally played the thing, you could barely move, you could barely see. Steve Van Buren scored the only touchdown. Philly won that game 7-0. Couldn't duplicate it today. We'll be back.